Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Custom's YouTube channel. Dave here. Still on the Area 51 just for a change. Thinking I might have a crack at making up a console. Well, I'll start making it anyway while I've got some stuff to make it with. And start figuring out where I'm going to put everything in that said console. Make sense? Anyway, let's get at it. Anyway, you put stuff in there, and I'm going to... probably shouldn't lean on that because it's still quite hot. So remember what I was saying last week about my Wish step bits? Yeah, not so good. Not so good. Somehow I managed to completely cock up how that goes in, even though I'm not perfect. Okie dokie. Right, so I've been having a quick little play around with the old Von Dago pen that he sent me with some brushes. Choice, eh? It's like a little brush, see? But it's actually a pen. Just trying to work out the kind of overall kind of look I was sort of going for. Don't know about these cup holders, but I kind of, yeah. This is more the profile I'm kind of working on sort of thing, so I might kind of make up a template out of some core flute, this stuff. It's because I'm using that because I've got some, and I'm going to start kind of roughing it out in kind of full size and sort of try and figure out how I'm going to hopefully make it and make it work, stuff like that. So yeah, let's kind of get at it. I might start with, I'll start with, well, not might, I keep saying I might do this, I might do that, but I'm actually going to get this piece of core flute and get into the Area 51 and start scribbling on it and then cut it out and try and make a profile of what I'm trying to make, what I kind of like to make, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's have a look. Okay, back with maybe a plan, possibly. Alright, this is my core flute template. So what I'm thinking is maybe sort of something like that, with an armrest kind of console with a little bit of storage thing going on down here, and then a sweeping up sort of console thing going up under the dash that I can put stuff in, like possibly a kind of vintage radio type thing. I've got to find somewhere to put the controls for the air ride as well, and the little touchscreen doodad for the Holly Terminator X Max. That in theory doesn't really need to be on display all the time, sort of thing. That could actually be in the console or behind a door, sort of thing. But this is my basic plan anyway. So what I'm thinking of doing is building a wire frame for it out of 6mm round bar, or what was it, quarter inch bar for the metric speakers, the Imperial speakers amongst us, and yeah, kind of like mock it up in wire and just see whether it's still gonna kind of look right for what I'm thinking. I've kind of got a thing in my head, but it's got all sorts of weird curves and angles and stuff, which is going to make it really tricky, which I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to pull it off or not, but can only try. Never done it before, so just got to give it a crack, hey mate? Yeah. Alrighty, so probably wondering why I'm welding these together. Well, maybe you're not, but my theory is if I put a few little tacks and weld these together, then I can do basically create these curves and these shapes once and then cut them apart, and then I've got two pieces exactly the same. Depende. So now I've just got to go through the motions of trying to figure out how I'm going to actually do these curves. Now I could put screws in the bench and stuff like that, but I haven't actually got a piece of material big enough that I could get all the way around it trying to bend these big lengths around. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't really know, is maybe just kind of work and just do all the kind of bends and the lengths round to where I've got to go, kind of as like not attached to anything. Yeah, this is not attached to anything. I'll just lay it flat, do a little bend, check it, that sort of thing. Yeah. Got my first experimental bendy foldy thing done. As you probably saw in the video, I kind of must have, when I tacked it, I got it twisted somehow, so I had to cut the tacks off and kind of straighten it up and then carry on. Still got a little bit of a twist in these two welded together pieces, but I think it's not like it's just at this very end, it's kind of going out a little bit. Once I separate them and stuff, I don't think it's going to matter, but we should be alright anyway. So I guess next up I'm going to try this one, which I really need to get something that I can wrap that around, get a nicer curve. The old hub, not quite right. I actually do have some heavy pipe kicking around, a little offcut somewhere. I might try and find that and use that to try and get these curves a little nicer. But yeah, I'll get on to the next one and see how that goes. Okie dokie, right, got my two main curves curved up, so to speak. Probably as good as I'm going to get them with my knowledge and my tools and stuff. I know a poor tradesman blames his tools, but I can only work with what I've got. So anyway, not really blaming them, it's just I haven't really got the tools I need for this, but I make do with what I've got, is what I'm saying. You know, little job like this, well, it's going to be probably, I don't know how many hours involved in making this console, but it's probably going to take a while, trust me. And yeah, so I'm just making do with what I've got. It's where I'm going with that anyway. So anyway, main two curves done. What do I have to do next is maybe cut these two straights and trim up the ends, and then I can weld the straights and weld the corners together, and then I'll have essentially my two outer rings kind of put together, and then I've got to work out what I'm going to need to cut to weld in to separate the two halves, because it is going to do some flary things just to make things complicated. Not quite sure how I'm going to pull that off yet, but I'll figure it out. Okay, I'm not sure where I was up to on my last little update, whether I had welded these or not, but I've welded them anyway. Like, I've made them into loopy-loops and put a couple of little braces in here and there. On the whole, they match up pretty well. For some reason that one wanting to, it's a little, oh, there we go, look at that. So there, not too bad. Now I've got to figure out how to space them apart from each other, bearing in mind that when they get out this end, I think it's actually going to have to kind of flare out, but I'm not sure how wide yet. And then down this end, it's going to have to square up. So what I might do is, I don't know, figure it out somehow. I'm not quite sure. Might maybe put a couple of pieces, maybe 3 in down this end, and hopefully that'll help me figure out how it's all going to work and where I can put them with the handbrake and such in the way. That's a point. Typical. Make everything hard. Unless I put another one down there, probably wouldn't be a silly idea. Unless I do some sort of swagey thing in there. I don't know. Let me think about it. Anyway, probably just looking at my hands waving around, but got to do some figuring and some calculating and have a look at this back in the car and see what I can work out what I'm going to do next. Right, so I've put a little flare in these. Now I'm just going to start welding some of these things in to try and separate the armrest end and hold it together while I figure out what's going on with the front end. Get what I'm saying? Hopefully this all works. Okay, so next, how do I do the next bit? And I'm going to do 50 or something. I've got a weird way of working that. Oh no, I'll get the first one. Alright, do you see where we're going with that? Hopefully it's all squarish. Well, as square as it can be. It's going on a wonky floor and a wonky car, and yeah, but next step I guess is to start working out this front end stuff. Let's have a look. Okay, so that shit is about out of battery. So this is where it's going. It's kind of hard to see in its very basic wireframe state, but and it's got to go back a bit further, so it's got to go back into there, just a shade, kind of, about there-ish, maybe, roundabouts. So now that I've kind of got my width between my seats kind of sorted, so that leaves a bit of space there to bring the old seat belt up the side there and what's not. Yeah, hopefully that's enough. It should be enough, eh? Surely. Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is decide how far out I want this front piece to come up onto the grille, the dash, and basically get my center. I think that's about the width I want to go to there, and so I'll just weld another bar across the top to sort of lock in my width, and then I just have to go around and square it up with some more round bar and put it in the places where I need it to kind of give me some support for some of the stuff I'm going to be putting in to the console. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully. Yeah. Still a lot of work to get it right and get it kind of looking good and polished and finished well. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so there we've got, that's my width set. It's getting more and more rigid with every piece I weld into it. The back bits are still just tacked in, mind you. So before I go any further, I've got to tie up all those heater wires and stuff, just zip them out the way just to protect them while I wrestle this into place and start making some measures and things like that. Then I've got to figure out how I'm going to actually fix it to the floor or into the car somehow, like screws and stuff. Figure it out. Okay, so progress coming along. Haven't done much more since I last checked in. I think I welded in one little bar somewhere or something like that. I think I actually spent a bit of time just checking all my angles and squaring it all up and stuff. As I started looking down at it, things were looking a little twisted in here and there, but it's not too bad now. Might have to drag the old shifter out and make sure that I'm not going to have any clearance issues with my travel for my shifter. So for a treat, you'll get to see that. Yeah, and then just start figuring out where to brace it up. I probably don't need to do that much bracing, but just a couple of places I'm going to need to do something for the heater vent ducting stuff that I'm going to use, because the heater tucks right up under the heater, and the floor flat thing comes down like that, and I want to kind of be able to direct the heat or cool air out to the footwells. Get what I'm going? Yep, cool. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet. That could be another tricky one, but hopefully not too bad. Yeah, so that's running out of day today, and it's raining. Not that that really makes any difference. I'm inside, so don't know why I said that. But yeah, so that's it for today anyway. So I might go and have a beer now, and then I'll come back, maybe do some more tomorrow. Yeah? Okay, see you tomorrow. Hey, okay, next day. Thought I'd better grab out my shifter. Now I got one of these big long locker shifters off Summit Racing, I don't know, a year or so ago now, and it's been pulled out for mocking up the trans tunnel and put away again, and now it's getting pulled out again for mocking up this console. Now I haven't got all the bracketry bolted to the top of the transmission, because it's one of those bolt on the top ones rather than bolt to the floor and run a cable. So it's got all that stuff there that bolts onto the top of the trans, which I probably could get to it from underneath and bolt it all on and whatnot, but I can't be bothered rolling around on the floor this morning. Don't really need to. But anyway, what I'm just trying to look at is just how this is gonna sit about there, and I just want to make sure that that's not gonna go all the way forward and hit the old console, which I think we'll be alright, to be fair, because I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe I might even recess this part in here a little bit, just I don't know why, just maybe to make my life a little harder to make it, and if I can pull it off, then I'll just be like real clever. But it's gonna be a little bit of a mission, I think, to make this, but kind of got a plan-ish, maybe, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, let's get on with it. I don't even know really what I'm gonna do next. Alrighty, so update, as you can see, I'm starting to kind of form the armrest element of the old centre console. On the whole, it seems to be at this point kind of going how I want it to. The trickiest stuff is yet to come, obviously. And this bit here, I'm going to make a kind of pocket that you can put some stuff in, like, you know, tissues, and maybe you could put, I don't know, like some spare fuses or something in there, or maybe you could put chewing gum in there. Not, yeah, maybe, or you possibly even put your spare sunnies in there, or your reading glasses. Anyway, you put stuff in there, and I'm going to make a lid. It'll be hinged here, and that'll be upholstered. It's just a little cozy armrest. Could even try and get tricky and roll it down the front a little bit. So just like, I probably shouldn't lean on that because it's still quite hot. So next, I'm going to try and work out this piece that I want to bring down here that encompasses the handbrake lever. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to do that, as well as figure out how much clearances and stuff I need for that to work sufficiently. But that's next anyway. Lots of figuring, and then there's going to be lots of welding, pardon me, and lots of grinding. So and then probably some hammering, and possibly a little bit of crying as well. Yeah, then I have to figure out a lid and a hinge and a latch type system for this. I haven't even thought about a latch type system actually. Could be my undoing. Get it? Yeah, anyway. Carry on, I'm gonna figure out this bit. Okay, so remember what I was saying last week about my wish step bits? Yeah, not so good, not so good trying to burn a hole. I was actually just making a dent in it really, than actually cutting a clean hole in through here, but I'm going to try again. So now that it's all cooled off, I'll give it another shot. Get some safety gear on, because, well, you know how it is if you're using one of these punch-out bloody bits, which is probably not worth the metal that it's made out of now, actually. I'm even going to put it back in its little holder. The next step, made a little boo-boo on my plan, so I ended up having to weld a couple of little pieces back in, but that's alright. I could have just cut another piece, but I'm way too cheap to do that, so here we are. Probably going to pay for it later with finishing it and stuff. But anyway, so this is going to be my handbrake lever opening. It comes up to about there, so I'm obviously gonna have to make some kind of surround and like a little leather boot or something like that to dress that up, to make it look not quite so meh. Just doing some trimming and modifying and making of stuff now, so that's where we're at. Just thought I'd show yous. Right, trim that up and then tack it in. Okay, so battery's nearly flat on the old GoPro. That's where we're at so far. Still obviously got to finish welding and trimming and stuff like that. But my handbrake opening is pretty much there. I don't know, how does everyone get in to grind out these little corners if you want to make it a little tidier? Dremel maybe? I don't know. But anyway, next up on this little contraption, I think I might move up the front now to this area here, which is going to be where the heater's in here, so I'm going to have to make some kind of opening. That's right, I've got a clearance for one of the heater hose. Hey! Anyway, going into this area here, this is where the heater lives up under here, and I want to create some kind of opening for the warm air to escape from, or the cold air, whichever. Told you this was going to take a while. Alrighty, here's where we're at. This piece here is, if you watched the episode the other week when I was making up the stuff for the boot floor, this was my mistake piece where I cut it 100mm too short, 4 inches for the Imperial speakers. So I thought I'd just use it up in here, since it won't really be seen, and a couple of little bodgy swages in there kind of help. I don't know, I probably wouldn't have done any drumming or flexing or anything anyway by the time this thing's all finished. But yeah, this is the shield as such that's going to stop the, well, to deflect the what do you call it, the heat from the heater. We talked about it earlier. Now I can't remember what I was talking about. But anyway, I'm not going to fully weld it, I'm just going to leave those stitches there. I'll just give them a bit of a clean up, and then on to the next stage. Make sure it's all square again, nothing's warping, and then I guess we start working out these inner parts. Wonder how I'm going to do that. I don't know, figure it out. Right, next I'm going to do some drawing on the bench, because it's just because it's going to help me visualize what I'm going to be doing, I reckon. There. Okay. See what's going on there? Hopefully you can understand that. Whoop. Something fell over. Right. Now I've got to try and work out what I'm going to do. This is my little fold down off of there. This is the bottom, so I'm going to go straight to there. This one is going to come back. I have a piece in there, recessed about 15mm. And then we'll come straight back, and then we'll come like that, right? Like that. Make sense? Okay. Might go and get me a cold beverage and think about it. Okay, update. This is where we're at. Okay, as you seen earlier, we got this stuff going on, and then we got that stuff going on. Anyway, back to the task at hand. This is my doohickey for the What's-It for my console. This bit here kind of feels bigger than I imagined it was gonna be for some reason. Not quite sure what I'm gonna do with that space. I was thinking of putting my air ride controller in there somehow, and maybe there was something else I had to put in as well. Like I'm thinking of like getting a retro stereo thing for up here. I don't like them in glove boxes, but also don't really want to put like a modern head unit in this old 50s wagon. On the whole, it's kind of going where I want it to go. I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to use that space for now. Like, I don't want to put a big TV screen in there because that's just like dumb. I don't know. I'll think about it. Anyway, it's the end of the day, end of the weekend, so I'm going to leave this where it's at for now, and we'll be back. Well, I'll be back soon. I haven't been filming heaps because there's lots and lots of sitting around thinking and umming and ahhing and pondering my life choices. So that's where we're at. Might try and come down and get some stuff done during the week. Keep pushing it along. Kind of know what I'm going to do with the sides, so I can move along with that. Kind of know what I'm going to do on the inside, so I can move along with that, but I don't want to kind of weld up all of this stuff in here, the outside part, until I've made a decision on what I'm going to be doing with that, because this is one of those things I feel like I have to be working from the inside out, and aesthetics kind of almost seem secondary to the practical side of it at the moment, but we'll get there. It's starting to take shape. Liking some of it, question marks over some of it. I'm sure I'll figure it out though, and then once it's done I'll probably either hate it forever or just go, never mind. But anyway, till tomorrow. Hey, how's it going? Back again. Next day, so I took that piece back out because I wanted to change it, so I cut the tacks and whatnot. I'm not do a very good at grinding them back, and I've cut my little opening for my air ride controller and shortened it and put the fold in a different place. So I'm just getting ready to tack it back in, and I'm just going to moving this bar up ever so slightly just to kind of give that front edge something to rest on, and then we'll set about filling in the gaps, I guess, maybe. So I'll tack these in and then I'll check back in, get us back to where we kind of were before. Back to where I started from, and plus doing a little bit of squaring up of the frame and making sure everything's true and straight, which it was actually had a bit of a twist in it, which hopefully I'll fix that now. So next step is I'm going to make up the side bits to fill in the inside side here. When I cut this, I didn't account for flaring out. Originally my intention was to just have it sort of run straight, but I cocked that up, so I'm going to add a design feature to it instead. Then I'm going to make a template and cut some pieces and see if I can get them all to fit together. So I'll just... Okay, so I squared up the bit that I was going to square up, and now I'm going to make the template. I think my SD card's about to run out, so better get on with it. Sweet. Alright, so got the first side tacked in place, and it's if you can see, it's kind of has a little flare out in there, so there's a little bit of extra flare in there that I wasn't accounting for, but I think it'll be okay. You reckon? We're just going to have a side down there, that'll be right. Anyway, right, got to make up the other side. Slowly using up all the steel from my boo-boo from the other week. Not much of it left now actually. I've managed to use a bit in here and using bits in here. I'll probably be able to use some of these for these returns that I've got to do. Show you those later. But yeah, choice. Right, cut this out and spin this thing around. And I actually started with a pretty relatively tidy workbench this afternoon, but it's kind of quickly gone sideways on me. Got to learn to work cleaner, or get a bigger bench. That might be the way to go, bigger bench. Alright, actually I'll have a bit of a tidy up and then I'll spin this around and get into it. Okay, that's that bit tacked in. That side fought me a little bit more than the other side, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe a little bit wonky on this side, but it might be a bit different once we get it all welded up and ground back, and maybe hammer in this a little bit more. That's not a bad idea actually. Might probably knock it apart, no my luck, but maybe just a little bit of gentle persuasion along those lines might be the way to go. But that's that part tacked in now. That's kind of where I wanted to get tonight. And could be just because I got this big butty weld there that I blew through, and I don't know, that's when it tells me that it's time to stop for the day, is when I start welding like that. So anyway, trying to TIG weld, so because I've got to weld all of this and I've got to finish all of this, and it'll be much easier and hopefully a nicer finish if I can do it all in TIG, and it's a bit easier to bring it back. So next up, I've got to kind of make these bits to come through here, leaving space. I'm not going to put a full piece in here yet. I might make an insert for that might sort of sweep up and cover some other stuff, but I'm just going to do like almost like an angle ridge line there, and I'll leave that main center part open, and I might get a good friend of mine that has got a CNC router. I might get her to sort of maybe cut me some inserts out of 5mm aluminium. If you're watching this, Rondo, pal, buddy, yeah, I drew that picture for you. Anyway, so there's a couple other things I might need doing as well for this, but that's where we're at the moment. So next up, some more of that, but different. Alrighty, next day. Right, next step. Oh, I think I figured out what was going on with this bit over here. This bit here. that's the bit I had trouble welding, and I kind of blobbed it out, and it ended up kind of pulling away and having a blob of weld behind it, which was holding it out. So I kind of zipped it back and hammered it down. So I think it's betterish. Yeah, better enough for me anyway. So next up, I'm going to do like this kind of thing. This is an offcut from my boo-boo the other week, and I'm going to do a couple of pieces coming through here. So start with, I'm going to do a piece here. I was going to try and figure out how to make each side out of one piece, but I think I'll just be wasting a lot of material, especially if I get it wrong, which is quite likely. So I'm going to do the next bit in 4 pieces, I think. With that being said, actually I just thought of something. That, yeah, because I really kind of need a little bit of a curve in it, because I put a bit of a curve in this top rail. If that was straight, it would be a whole different thing, but it's not. So I wonder if I could straighten it now. Probably not. That would just, yeah, no. I'm going to do a couple of short pieces, tack those in, then I'll set about making the longer pieces, which I'm going to have to try and get a wee bit of a curve in it, and that's not going to match up to that curve. Man, I'm just making stuff really, really hard for myself now, so I'm going to have to maybe have a little think about this, about my life choices. So don't want it too high in there, because you're going to have to get your hand into the handbrake thing as well. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on. I'm going to figure it out, and then I'll get back to you. Okay? Okay, so I'm just on my final trim up of these 2 short sections of panel steel. One little electric valve, whatever you want to call it. I'm not even sure if it's 1mm actually. It seems a bit thinner, but it's actually really nice to work with compared to some of the stuff I've used before. It's a little bit thinner and a little bit more pliable, so which should make it a bit easier. Well, it does make it a little bit easier to work with. Trim that one, still got to trim this one. Okay, something I probably kind of just want to kind of reiterate. I'm not a professional, if you haven't figured that out already, at doing this sort of stuff. But what I sort of hope to achieve with some of these videos is just kind of like showing you what's kind of possible if you're willing to have a go at something. You know, like I've never built a console before at all, ever, out of wood, metal, or anything like that. I was scrolling through YouTube one day and I came across a channel called Make It Custom, a chap in Canada who's he's real clever. If you're looking for something to follow, a channel to sort of subscribe to, and for really lots of useful information and lots of cool little tips and stuff. And he does some really cool builds as well. I can't remember the chap's name, but yeah, real clever dude. Jeff Hands comes to mind. Not sure what that is, but he wears apparel with Jap hands and that on it. But his channel's called Make It Custom. He made a steel wireframe console for I think it was a square body Chevy pickup truck, and it was really cool. And I'd been mulling over in my head how I was going to make a console, what I was going to do for a console for quite a while, and I stumbled across his video, and it kind of, I sort of thought, that's what I'll do. I'll wireframe it and make it out of metal. I was going to make one out of wood, but they really look, I don't know, they kind of got this real 90s vibe and that to them, and it doesn't really kind of fit with the aesthetic that I was going for with the old Area 51 project. So here we are, making one out of metal. So far, quite happy with it. Doesn't look much at the moment, but once it's all welded up and all ground back and whatnot, hopefully not too much body filler in it to make it smooth, but yeah, that time will tell with that, so we'll wait and see how it comes out when we get closer to having it all kind of polished up and ready for paint and things like that. The only thing really different with the way he went about it, he did, I think he MIG welded all of this sort of stuff, whereas I wanted a little bit more experience on the old TIG welder, so I thought I'd give it a crack that way. And hopefully again it'll pans out alright, because my TIG welding is pretty hit and miss from day to day, but we shall see. Anyway, carry on. I'll get these trimmed up and then we'll get them tacked into place, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, so got those two pieces tacked in there. They're going to need a little bit of pushing around to get them all squared up again, and I did a little bit of an experiment with the TIG kind of welding across the top there, sort of kind of somewhat successful-ish, and yeah I've got some stuff to do. But yeah, that's essentially those two pieces in. I just got to work out the bits for there. Now they're going to have a ever so slight curvature coming through there, ever so slightly, unless I can figure out if I can just straighten that top bar up a bit. Will that mess with my curve through there? I probably can straighten it up. I might have a look at that. So will it need it? It's got a little bit of a boop here anyway, so I probably can straighten it up, but then I do run the risk of kind of just ending up with everything else out of whack again. So I might just leave it as it is and figure out a way to put a slight curve in these angled bits without a shrinker stretcher. Always wanted one of those. Should have bought one years ago. I seen one real cheap and it was a good one too, but I didn't buy it because I thought, when am I going to need that again? I'd already just finished a major project and all the sheet metal on that, and kind of didn't really need it at the time, but probably should have just bought it anyway. But that's another story for another time. So I'm going to cut some bits of steelio and see what I can get these next two bits made. Okay, so I have cut my two pieces without really considering that. Basically I cut them at 65mm wide, but I didn't take into account that sweeps up there, so they're to keep the 40mm lip going on the inside, which isn't that critical because it's really just a fixing point to be able to fix an insert into. I'm gonna have to make these taper as they get up the front just to cover my ass with another jumping ahead without thinking of things, kind of little faux mistake. And yeah, so that's where it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a fold in these, and then I'm going to start making some little changes to them to see if I can kind of get a slight curve in there once there's a fold in there. Might have to do some little pie relief cuts in there and re-weld them just to get it to start to curve up, kind of curve like that in there. I'm hoping I'll be able to wrangle it. If I had a shrinker stretcher, it would be easier, especially if I knew how to use one, which I don't. I've never used one. I've seen them used, and to the people who know how to use them, it looks really easy. But so I'm going to do this the hard way without the right tools. So I'm going to make it work with the tools I've got. Okay, so let's get into that. I think that might work actually, just with two reliefs in there. Right, so folded these up on my little box pan folder with the crooked teeth and blades and stuff on it. They're not proper teeth on there, so it doesn't give you a very sharp fold. So with my Harry Flash new vise with nice square jaws on it, I can kind of hammer them just a little bit kind of sharper. So that's why I was doing that. I didn't fold them on there, I used that little box pan folder. So now you can see there, I'll show you. See here, I want this down here, I want that following kind of that line there, sort of to about what I might do, well not might, what I'm gonna do is probably do maybe 2 cuts or possibly 3 cuts in there, maybe just to cut a little relief out of this top part and just kink them. But I've got to do this accurately because I'll have to repeat it on the other side, you see, so at least somewhat needs to be the same on the other side. So that's, I'm going to do some maths. I think that might work actually, just with 2 reliefs in there. Tricky part's going to be kind of getting 2 of them the same. And then trimming it all up to fit proper, like see where I'm going with that, hopefully. But anyway, so moving on. Alrighty, so I think we've got a bit of a plan, maybe. Might have a bit of trimming and stuff to do once we've kind of welded it all in there, but that's fine, that's just fine. Now I have to leave opening for to be able to put the shifter and everything in. Unfortunately I can't put any cross braces in here without having the issue of when I go to put the console in, having to completely disassemble the handbrake mechanism, the shifter and everything, and then try to put it all back in after the console's in. Pardon me. And so I'm going to leave this open, and what I'm going to do is make another insert that screws in possibly in 2 pieces or 1 piece, or maybe bring it up so far and then just do another surround around this thing here, the air ride controller, maybe do like a surround around that, and then a piece that runs up there, you know, or maybe 1 piece that runs up there and another piece to mount the boot for the boot for the handbrake and boot for the shifter. You know where I'm going? Rabbiting on about this, but yeah, so we'll figure all that out. Now I'm going to weld these little relief cuts up. I'm going to trim out the excess and weld them up. I've just got to try and make sure I get them both the same as each other. As I said earlier, that's the plan. Okay, so got those bits tacked in now in here. Don't look too close, please. That's some bits kind of embarrassing, but still got to trim down the height sort of thing. But I sort of wanted to get it all tacked on, and then I can just trim it to suit. Yeah, and then I've got to, you know, obviously got to finish welding it and clean it all up and make it look a bit prettier than it currently is. But that's essentially the inner part of the console. Yeah, So the shifters kind of land right about here, and what like I said before, I think I'm going to get make something up like an insert, so I can put this in and then lay the insert down over the top of the shifter hole and stuff like that, just to make installation easier and maybe for aesthetics as well. That's the plan anyway. Kapende. So that's about enough for tonight, I reckon. Tomorrow I might kind of trim all that up, clean it all up, and do some of this inside welds and stuff that I'm not going to be able to get to once the sides and that on, and then sort of you know, do all this. Oh, that's not a weld, but down here, down there, these inner joins, and then I can kind of clean those up, trim this up, and then it's pretty much ready to start. I'll check that it's all square again still, and then it's pretty much ready to start doing the side cladding, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure what I got to do down here. I think I'm just going to make an insert thing there. I don't think I'm going to do anything on the back there in any particular fanciness. That's just going tucking into the rear there. I don't know. Nah, I'll probably just leave that as that and just make a little insert with a little smuggler box or something in there. Yeah? Okay, so that's enough for today, and back tomorrow. Okay. Hey guys, right, so next day, it's actually early morning of the next day. Guys, I just did not sleep last night. I'd just been stressing about this console. Could see something was off with the console, so I pulled it out of its normal position up on the bench or in the thing, and I put it in the car, the 51, and I put it down on the floor just to kind of walk around it, and I've discovered a few little problems with my console, just been out of whack and out of square. So I've been trying to puzzle over how the hell I'm going to straighten it all up again now. Kind of got a plan, but don't know if it's going to work. Should work, other than picking it all apart and basically starting again, or throwing the whole thing into the scrap bin and starting again. But anyway, I'll give you a quick show you of what I've found since I pulled it down and looked at it. Now I spent a lot of time before I tacked any of this stuff checking things and trying to find reference points, because there's no real square part of it sort of to take reference points from. I was kind of like just trying to measure what I could and square up what I could, where I could and stuff. But yeah, I've still managed to get a little bit of a twist on it, and a couple of pieces that I tacked in, I just tacked in wrong. I don't know how I did it, possibly not looking around it properly before I tacked them, but let's go and have a look. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so first thing is this. See that? See that? Now this is a fairly simple fix. I just have to untack it down here and down this edge here and basically pull that up. So that's okay. But it's down here where it gets a bit cray-cray. I don't know what I was thinking when I actually tacked that in. I noticed it was out down here and I didn't really think much of it, but somehow I managed to completely cock up how that goes in, and now I have to try and pick it apart and fix it or make a new piece for there. I was just going to trim that up and thought it would be alright, and then I noticed this. Somehow I got this way down here and that way up there, and anyway, and then the big one is this. It kind of is not true to this main part, front part. The back end, the armrest part, kind of kinks off on a bit of an angle, so that's going to be the tricky one to fix, because it's really hard to find a reference point and figure out exactly what's going on. There's a couple of little things that are going on back here as well, like with this isn't square, not sure how I did that wrong, And this is a bit off too, not sure how I did that wrong either. And this side here has pulled in slightly, whether it was bent or I bent it somehow in this process, but I don't know if you can see. You can see it just kicks off that way. It's about half an inch, 10-12 millimeters. By the time it gets to the end, it's quite a way off. But so that's my dilemma with that at the moment. So I think it's savable. It's just gonna take some reworking and some farting around trying to get it back in line, and maybe rejigging how I approach kind of squaring it up. I was thinking maybe of making a table of some sort and kind of squaring up and screwing the base of it down, like clamping it down so that stays true, and then I can kind of square it up and tack it up. I don't know, I'll figure it out, but that's where we're at the moment. A little bit disappointed. I thought I was coming along quite well, but just wanted to show you that it's if you look at it from the right angle it looks right, but you look at it from another angle and it's crooked. There it is. That's where we're at. Even I'm not perfect in my in my wonderland of chaos and mess. Well guys, I'm going to leave it at that for this episode of the Area 51 update. How's that for a cliffhanger ending? Technically this is part 1, there's more to come. You're just going to have to tune in next week and find out whether I fix it or scrap it. So, till then, thanks for watching. Really appreciate all the new subscribers that have come on board, and till next week, take it easy and peace. If I can get it edited earlier, I will put some more up as we go along. But till next week, take it easy and peace. Someone emailed me called Storm, ended up in my spam folder. Tried replying to your email about the tape for the old electrical stuff running up front. Good idea, but I kind of got it too late after I'd already cut my harness and stuff up. But yeah, couldn't reply to the email, it just bounced back. But thanks for your suggestion, it was a good idea actually, and I do know where I could have got some of that tape from as well. So anyway, a bit late now, but thanks.